Folks, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here. Hey, some of you may have seen a while back I posted on YouTube this post in my community section where I had purchased some Warhammer miniatures for the first time ever. It was a starter set that just came with like 5 or 6 paints and taught you a very basic way to paint them. This was the first one I finished. I'm actually working on the other two and feel like that I'm getting better as I go along. Like I've learned different things like thinning paints and watching more videos on shading and highlighting techniques. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And then I held a stream this last Tuesday where I was playing multiplayer battles, and a few people donated very generously enough money. And I, as a joke, a long time ago, had made a community post about what kind of stream do you want me to have, and one of the options I put up was a paint drying stream. And so now it's not going to actually be a meme because of the kind donations people made. I actually went out and purchased this Stormcast Eternal Army set here. And sometime in February, when all this stuff is going to arrive and I'll be ready for the stream, Mrs. Air and I are going to sit down and start painting these. I'll do a little bit of Q&A, just kind of a fun hangout thing, and I'll set up something on my Twitter where you all can tag me with pictures of your own miniatures, and we'll show some of them off just to do something fun. Anyway, kind of wanted to bring this up because one of the folks who donated that night was Kyler, and it was, partly because of him that I'm going to be able to do this. And I asked him if he had any requests of me, and he said, "Hey, Air, I really want to see an all undead FFA battle." And so that's our video for today. Let's jump in. Yeah, so he wanted to see an all undead FFA, so I hopped on to the Discord, grabbed some of you awesome folks to join me. You can see that myself, Short-Ended Straw, and we have a couple other players you'll see here in just a moment, all jumped in. I took the Barrow Legion. Short-Ended Straw is obviously doing some Archon antics with 5 Screaming Skull catapults, so if you're gonna go, you just go. And I hadn't played Kimmler in a long time, so I wanted to have some fun with that. So yeah, anyway, I figured this would be an in one. So with all undead, it basically means Counts, Coast, and Tomb Kings, right? Counts, Coast, or Kings. That's what you're going to have to pick from. So here's my Barrow Legion. I think you all saw the army setup coming in. I'm testing out Vargeist now because they are now armor-piercing. So I figured that'll be pretty cool. 5 Screaming Skull catapults for Archon and his followers are Nagash. So Nagash may have been weak, but 5 Screaming Skull catapults is not. Screaming meme catapults, whatever we want to call them. Over here we have the main Vampire Counts faction, actually led by Manfred von Karstein and commanded by No Game, No Life. And you can see him bringing Vargeist as well to the show. There are some Cairn Wraiths. And then he's got a bunch of Skelly Warriors and some Graveguard mixed through here with Manfred on foot, so he was looking to not be an overly large target. Now back here we do have some Black Knights, but they're being attacked by a Tomb Scorpion and the Sphinx of Uskef, and that's all Grand Hierophant Katep, led by once aspiring Amoeba. So yeah, that's the players there. We've got the 4 players. I'm going to swing back around on my side and just kind of show you what I'm doing. I've got the Dire Pack attacking these catapults because when you have so much juicy artillery to chew on, you just have to. And here was I thought it going to be an interesting test. I wanted to see how well the Vargeist could cut through the armor of these Ushabti, and the answer is extremely well. Now, eventually these Ushabti will kind of get stuck here and bogged down, but I mean, if this doesn't give you some idea of like how you might be able to pinch units with a couple of Vargeist, I mean, that Ushabti got absolutely annihilated. Now, I think that Vargeist still suffer from some of the same issues they did, which is fine. They need to have some weakness. They have low melee defense and very low armor. Check out this purple sun back here on top of my troops. Fortunately for me, it mostly just got a Crypt Ghoul and a zombie and avoided the Graveguard. That could have been a whole lot more painful, but Archon making my life miserable. On my fight here, we end up with a giant mosh pit of units here. Archon, Tomb Prince, Vargeist. I'm going to be sending more units into here. I do have a Black Coach as well that is starting what I hope will be a good killing rampage for it. There are some Nehekara horsemen. Everybody wanted a piece of the Screaming Skull catapult, so the Short-Ended Straw jumped off to an early lead, but he's also attracting everybody's attention and probably not loving it. Now, Amoeba, on the other hand, has a challenge of everybody is running for Short-Ended Straw. I say everybody, myself and No Game, No Life are running for Short-Ended Straw, and that leaves Amoeba way out of position over here with an artillery kind of based army, and he's got to move all the way across the map before he can have any impact. Now, speaking of interesting stuff here, Hex Wraith came to attack me, and I realized that the Black Coach had magic damage, and so I'm trying to get my Graveguard away from the Hex Wraith, obviously, and I wanted to see what the Black Coach could do against them, and it does a ton of damage. The Coach gets in and just really starts to rip them up. So again, I figure this will be a great way to build up some chevronage for the coach. That Vampire Uber is just a fun unit, and if you don't use it, you really should whenever you're playing vampires. It is extremely effective in the right scenarios. I did bring a couple of naked White Kings as well. I think they're only like 500 gold, and those guys are beyond a bargain. They can get into fights like this, and they just add a lot of tankiness and leadership, and really great units. You can see that we're both just continuing to commit to this fight, and it's just a continued big slogfest between Archon, his Tomb Prince, now a Vargulf, and a couple of White Kings. Kimmler I'm throwing into melee where I can because he does heal, and I think he heals units around him while it's going on. I could be wrong. Let's actually pause that and double check that, because that's something I get confused about sometimes with their abilities. Oh, Krell is in here too. Yes, I've already summoned Krell. There's White King, and then there's Krell. It wasn't both White Kings, so Krell's in here too, trying to take out Archon and his Tomb Prince, and he did pretty good. He did all this damage to Archon before forcing him, like literally forcing him out of the fight. Let's go back into Kimmler's little list. It's the Chaos Tomb Blade, yeah. So if he's in melee, yeah, it affects allies in range, and it's gonna heal 8 hit points per second and give +5 melee attack. Now, Kimmler is pretty weak in melee, but I mean that's important to note. I think with him is if you can get him into a relatively safe melee, like I have here. He can really buff up the units around him and help keep them alive a lot longer. So he's definitely an interesting lord. He may be a meme in some ways, but I don't know. I find him interesting. He may not be like the top tier for competitive play. Maybe he is. I don't know. I don't really keep track of competitive play. I don't think vampires are super high in the competitive play tier right now, but in any case, we're going to see Manfred come join in this fight too. He wants a piece of the action. Meanwhile, the rest of Manfred's troops are intercepting aspiring Amoeba's troops who are trying to make their way across the battlefield. So we've got a lot of Graveguard back here, mixing it up with the Skeleton Warrior. So a lot of hot skeleton on skeleton action here, if you're into those type of weird things. But yeah, there we go. Hot and spicy. So we're going to have some great Chosen of the Gods here with the Great Bow. And they are going to be shooting as much as they can up into this fight, but their range is going to be somewhat limited because of being kind of blocked by this Graveguard fight. There are some Tomb Guard with halberds and the Scorpion Legion making their way across the battlefield. There's another Scorpion Legion that was in this fight, by the way. And over here, I mean, this fight has really gone, quite well for me in the end. I lost my Vargeist, but we've pretty much taken everything else okay. And like I said, with Kimmler present, it's really been a benefit to my troops, because as he gets in and fights, he basically just starts healing the units around him. So it's been very effective. And I was able to block some of these units. I was really trying to keep this Tomb Prince and Skeleton Horseman away from Kimmler and the Black Coach, and I've been successful in that so far. The Vampire Uber driver has managed to stay out of all these engagements I don't want him in, and we're going to also try and stay away from the Tomb Guards with halberds. We've gotten 87 kills. Lost a fair few hit points, unfortunately, but I think the Vampire Uber is pulling its weight so far. It's doing good. If we take a look over here, not totally unsurprising. Like the Graveguard, we're probably winning this pretty. Now that's the thing. Even though Graveguard are a lot better than these skeletons, Graveguard just don't kill stuff really fast. They're just more of a tanky unit than they are like a really aggressive unit. And so this gives the Tomb Kings a little time to throw in the Sinks of Uskef, use Hierophant Katep to really try and sway this in a way that they wouldn't have normally gotten away with. Now, Archon, having run away from the fight with me, is now over here chasing Katep and his Chosen of the Gods. I can't imagine this is going to go well for him, though, because if he goes and attacks Katep, which he's certainly the better melee than Katep, he's gonna, yeah, I mean, there's already magic headed in on him, yeah. He's being pulled back down to the grave, and then the Great Bows are unleashing on him, though, granted, that'll probably do a little damage to the Hierophant as well, so... but I'm kind of surprised Archon is lasting as long as he is here, to be fair. He's right in front of a very deadly unit here. But Archon will die in this attempt. Oh, there's going to be a Summon Shakti on top of him as well. That really sucks for him. Meanwhile, on my side, things are starting to really turn in my favor over here. But here comes big ol' Sphinxy, and he's got some Sepulchral Stalkers supporting him. And so I'm using the terrain to my advantage here. Like, look at this. Manfred ordered an Uber. CA, please fix these animations. My Uber was just pushing Manfred across the battlefield. When I saw the Sepulchral Stalkers, I was like, you can have him, Manfred. Here's your stop. And then I ducked right back behind the terrain. So I'm trying to keep my units behind the terrain to help defend against these sepulchral stalkers at least a little. This unit could cause a lot of damage to me if I allow it. I am going to spirit, or that's actually not me. I think that's someone else spirit leeching. Maybe, it's not me, yeah, because I don't have Lure of Death with Kimmler. So he's being spirit leeched, I would assume, at this point by Manfred. My Vampire Uber is going to come over here and try and help out in this infantry fight. Again, look at the Naked White King pulling its weight here, helping these Crypt Ghouls fight. Graveguard coming in to support him. And the Sphinx of Uskef comes barreling in, and I'm going to try and double Vargulf it to see if we can kind of goon it out of the fight. A couple of Vargulfs are usually pretty painful to most units, but you saw there that there is the occasional staggering of my Vargulfs, but they're getting some damage done against the Sphinx. And once again, this leaves the Vampire Uber safe to continue its work. It's now 113 kills, has a Chevron. Look at Manfred over here, like a boss. He's been in all kinds of fights. Like, he doesn't need a mount, doesn't need these special monsters, just Manfred, because Manfred. So he's going to get in here and just really start laying down a pretty good beating, honestly. I'm pretty impressed with what he's able to get done here. The Sphinx of Uskef starting to take a lot of damage, though occasionally it gets a hold of a target in the right way, like this Vargulf here, suffering a little bit of leadership loss, and the other one keeps getting distracted on different targets. It's really hard to keep these two on target, and so, not surprisingly, when the Sphinx of Uskef gets one of these singled out, it just demolishes it. Here comes a special ability here. I think this was from like the Tomb Prince, but basically berserks a whole bunch of my units except for Kimmler. And so yeah, all my units going berserk. So at this point though, it's not too big of a risk. I'm taking a fairly good point lead. Katep is still back here. His Chosen of the Gods are still back there. They would, I assume, need to move forward, but they don't really have enough ammo to have a big influence in this fight. It's definitely looking very favorable for me, as long as I just don't get Kimmler killed or something else like that. Even the Vampire Uber has now just thrown in against the Sphinx of Uskef. Everybody can go all in. This thing has gotten a ton of melee in during this battle, and it's headed towards a second Chevron, so it's really paid for itself, as I figured it might be able to, as long as I don't miss-micro it. And surprisingly, I think I didn't miss-micro the Black Coach for pretty much most of this fight. I mean, that's probably a shock to a great many of you who have been a part of this channel for a while. So yeah, in any case, here it is. It's alive, and I knew that the Chosen of the Gods were going to run out of ammo, so I would be somewhat safe there. And it's at this point, with the Sphinx of Uskef falling and Manfred now being next in line, that I started having a discussion with Amoeba about how what we should do next is we should set up a duel between Katep and Kimmler. It'll be like the Warhammer lightweight championship bout. Katep's model looks freaking awesome. Like, this CA really just kept turning up the game with some of the DLCs. But yeah, his model looks absolutely awesome. And now, as someone who has painted their first Warhammer miniature and is trying to get into that more, it kind of, I can see the real appeal of this game to the old tabletop players, even if they were never that much into, let's say, like PC gaming, which maybe they were, maybe they weren't. But like, I mean, think about like having built those models for years and then suddenly seeing something like Katep here just cruising around on this fully animated Casket of Souls with the scarabs flying around and like the whole aura and everything. This is really neat. Kimmler, so I guess I just continue to appreciate, in my opinion, how special this game is. It's really cool, and I have to say that whenever I first heard that there was a Total War Warhammer, I was not excited. In fact, I mean, you could probably go back and find some video examples of it. I thought it was kind of stupid. And of course, since it was Total War, I was going to give it a chance, but it's like, this is dumb. I don't get this. And like I said, man, it grew on me, and I'm really glad it did. I can say with absolute certainty now, especially after having painted a model, I can totally understand now why people liked this hobby. It's something that I never probably would have given a chance back in the day, even though I built some like models back in the day, like an F-16 model or an Apache helicopter model, like the Enterprise D, like I built an Enterprise D model back when I was a teenager, right? I liked model building, but I never would have been that into this because it would have just seemed like too fanciful for me. Like, oh, this is too much fantasy, it's too much for me. But then I think as I played Total War Warhammer, I started to realize, you know, these characters are kind of fun. Like, sure, they're really fanciful, they're a bit over the top sometimes in the way they look and the stories and all that stuff, but it's just fun. And I think when you just kind of let yourself go and have a little fun with it, like, it really, really grows on you. And that was the case for me. And so I can totally see why this has been such a popular hobby for so many people. This kind of was like a little bit shocking, but not totally shocking. Like, I didn't expect Kimmler to dominate this fight so much, but I guess being mounted on the casket certainly swung this in the favor of Kimmler, though I would be curious to see what a horse Katep skeletal steed matched up against Kimmler would look like. I don't know, that one might be a lot tighter fight, but here you go, you got your lightweight championship duel, and in this case, Kimmler is going to take it home. Didn't even have to have Krell help him out of this one. Look how cool this model looks like there with the dead Katep. Looks like it came straight out of the Indiana Jones movie, and it looks really good. Really good. Anyway, hey, I appreciate Amoeba, Short End of Straw, and No Game, No Life in 64 for playing this one with me, and also want to thank Kyler for supporting the channel in the big way that he did, and I hope this video was fun for you, Kyler. Feel free to leave a comment and tell me whether or not we met expectations here with this one, the Undead FFA, and appreciate all of you who have supported my channel for this many years. And some of you might be saying, you know, well, that's cool. He got to support, you know, he donated, and then Air made this video for him. Hey, it's cool. He did donate, and I wanted to make a video for him because he was very generous, and it's going to enable me to make some more fun content for you. So I just feel like this is a way for me to say thank you. But you know why I make videos every day, or try to make them every day? Sometimes I fail, but I think most days I get some content out to you all. It's because you all enjoy it. So some of you may be out there like, well, I never donated big. If you are one of those folks who's out there watching the video, clicking on the like button, leaving a comment, joining the Discord, participating in the discussions, you all are all supporting this, and that support makes me love doing this every day. I don't know if you all have never noticed this, but I don't think I've ever gotten burned out from making YouTube videos. I've been making them for probably about 11 years or more, maybe closer to 12 now. And I've never been burned out on making YouTube videos. And I know a lot of YouTubers do get burned out, and I totally understand it, how it could happen and why it would happen. So this is not me like saying that they're just like lazy or this and that. No, it's tough. But what I'm saying here is thank you to all of you for your support and how much you have loved the content over the years. And if you continue to like it, please support in that way. Just watch the videos if you enjoy it. If you have the time, leave a like, leave a comment. Those things are huge. And as long as that kind of stuff's happening, as long as people are watching my videos and enjoying them, I enjoy making them. And so that is fantastic support in and of itself. And I've had thousands of you doing that for many years, and I very much appreciate it. It's very humbling. And I'm very excited, though. I do appreciate Kyler supporting in such a big way. And like I said, I'm excited for it because it's going to enable me to make some content that I think some of you will enjoy. And hopefully we have a good time of it together. If you've never painted Warhammer miniatures like I hadn't up until recently, you should check it out. I know it may sound, really, I'm going to watch someone paint something on a stream. Don't worry about it. You don't have to stay for like a super long time. Come check it out. It's pretty neat getting to build the miniatures. It really was. No, this was not sponsored by Games Workshop, and I'm not saying you have to go out and spend your money. I'm just saying like it was a lot more fun than I expected. Anyways, check out the stats here. Kimmler doing a pretty solid job. I felt like my White Kings did a good job here too. But for me, the Vampire Uber here, the coach, it did a pretty spectacular bit of work, as did both of my Vargals, so they were pretty key for me. As far as Amoeba goes, let's check out his army. Hierophant Katep, I mean, I don't know that I've seen a lot of units getting 37,000 plus raw damage done. Like, that is a pretty serious effort there by Katep, and very admirable, and that's also a lot of damage value. Like, I mean, that was not just a little. The Tomb Prince did very well. I mean, let's go take a look at some of his other key units here. Again, great performance out of the Chosen of the Gods. The Sphinx of Uzkep all had a fantastic performance. So they did very well. If we go to Short End of Straw here with Archon, again, he had a pretty magnificent performance, especially considering that this dude was in a fight, and I mean a big fight, for quite a long time with a bunch of my units. And they weren't just scrub units either. And so, again, I feel like this is a pretty impressive performance from Archon. All things considered, one of his Tomb Princes punching pretty good there. Obviously, none of the Screaming Skull catapults will have paid off, but I mean, they actually did get more damage done than you would have thought in that short a period of time. His Scorpion, same thing. Let's take a look at No Game, No Life. Manfred, for a Lord on Foot, this is a pretty impressive statistic here, especially considering I don't think he got in any massive spells or anything that kind of jacked that number up. Maybe a little bit, but just a lot of work done. That Hex Wraith, look at how much damage it was dishing out and how quickly. I'm pretty lucky that I was able to use the coach to help put an end to that, because that could have gotten pretty ugly pretty quick. Look at this grave guard here. Tons of damage, but it was fighting against skeletons, so it didn't get a ton of value out of it. But anyway, appreciate the folks who played with me here. Again, appreciate you, Kyler, and all of you. And as I just mentioned, if you want to support, go hit that like button. Hit the comments section. Tell me what I do right, what I do wrong. Just feel free to go in, ask me questions. Tell me the first time you started watching videos. Any comment like that's great. I read all of the comments. I do attempt to respond to them as much as I can, but when I can't, I'll try and go through and, like I said, at least read them and make sure and drop some hearts here and there on some of the ones that really catch my attention. But if you don't get that, don't think, well, Air didn't care about my comment. I read them all. Whenever they come through, I read every single comment. It comes up. Pops up on my phone in the YouTube studio. It's really easy to do. So yeah, don't ever think that you leaving a comment won't get noticed. It does. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing out for now. Hope you all enjoyed this one. I will see you soon.